Hello, welcome to my channel Bibbity Bobbity Books. My name is Ellie and this is going to be a haul video. So I thought that I would show you some of the books that I got from my birthday because I recently turned 29 and I was lucky enough to receive quite a few books for my birthday from friends and family, and I also treated myself to a few books as well, so I've got quite a few to chat with you about. So I am just gonna hop straight in and show you the first book. So the first book that I got is All the Tides of Fate by Adeline Grace. So this is the second book in a YA duology, and I read the first book, which is All the Stars and Teeth. Yeah, All the Stars and Teeth. I read this book earlier this year and I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed this one. It was really fun. But basically we follow the main character Amora, who is a princess, and it's based in this world where there's all these different islands and each island has a different type of magic. But Amora and her family have soul magic. They're the only people that can use this magic, which is why they're the kind of rulers of the nation. And right at the beginning of the first book, Amora has to do this ritual to kind of prove to everybody that she can control her magic and to prove to everybody that she is capable of one day ruling over her people. But as you can imagine, something goes wrong and she ends up kind of running away. She's on the run with this pirate and she goes off on this adventure across the seas, and there's lots of mythological creatures. We've got mermaids, we've got sea monsters, and it's just a really fun time. And what I remember most about this first book is the kind of descriptions of everything in here, because it's so vivid and it's so imaginative, and I'm just really hoping that I enjoy the second one as much as the first, but we shall see. I'll probably try and get to this one quite soon because I feel like it's perfect for summer. You know, with it being set on the sea and with there being pirates and everything, I just really want to pick up this one while the weather is still nice. So I'm hoping that I'll get to this one soon and I'm very excited. So yeah, that's the first book that I have to show you. The second book that I've got is an adult fantasy. So this is The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. So firstly, just look at this cover because I think it's amazing. It's so cool. It looks like such a classic fantasy. So this is the first book in a new adult fantasy series. I don't know a huge ton about this one. I believe we're following sort of three main characters, and I think it's based on Norse mythology. Yeah, so it says in the front here that it's set in a brand new Norse-inspired world packed with myth, magic and bloody vengeance. So I am in. I think this is going to be really fun. I don't want to know a huge amount before I read this one because I'm excited just to kind of get stuck in and to find out for myself kind of what's going on. I've got high hopes because John Gwynne is obviously a well-loved author, so I think that it's going to be really well written. And I mean, it's got a dragon on the front, so I'm in. I think it's going to be so good, so I'm very excited to have this one. Then I got quite a few romance books. So I got Radiance by Grace Draven. So I have heard a lot of really good things about this book. This is a romance book. It follows the trope of arranged marriage. So we've got the woman and the man, and they are kind of forced to marry each other, I'm assuming for political reasons. But the trouble is that they're really not attracted to each other in the beginning of the book, because we've got the woman who is a human, or at least she looks human, and then we've got the man who's from a different fantasy race who looks very different to the woman. So to each other they just look gross. So I think the man is described as having sort of grey skin and being quite animalistic in his appearance and everything. So yeah, they're really not attracted to each other physically in the beginning of the book, but I hear that they form a beautiful friendship and that blossoms into something a little bit more, and it's supposed to just be really sweet and a really kind of respectful and beautiful romance. So I'm very excited to see what I think. I then got another romance book. I got Fortuna Swan by KJ Sutton. So this is a self-published fantasy romance, and I've heard a lot of hype about this book online. I know Becca in the Books really loves this book, and also Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction, she likes this book as well. So I kind of put it on my wish list on their recommendation really, and also because I think this cover is honestly one of the most beautiful covers I have ever seen. It is so gorgeous. The artwork on there is just stunning. So I was very drawn in by the cover, but I don't know a huge amount about the plot, to be honest with you. I know we follow the main character Fortuna, who is the last of her kind. I think she is a nightmare, but I'm not sure what that means. But yes, she's the last of her kind, and her brother goes missing, and I think he is presumed dead until this fairy male shows up and tells Fortuna that he knows a little bit more about what happened to her brother. So I think that's kind of the setup of the story, but I don't know a huge ton more, but I'm excited to just kind of dive in blind really and just see what I think. I've heard it's quite dark. I know people get quite emotional reading this series, so I'm interested to see what I think. And yeah, I'm excited to finally have this one on my shelves. Talking of romance, I also got this book. So this is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. So this again is very, very well loved online. I've heard a lot of booktubers talking about this one. In fact, I don't think I've heard anyone saying anything bad about this book, so I'm really hoping that it will live up to the hype. But this is basically a retelling of the Trojan War, and it's told from Patroclus's perspective, I believe. I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong. I always fumble over that name. But yes, so we follow his perspective. I think there's a heavy focus on his relationship that he builds with Achilles, and it's supposed to be really moving, it's supposed to be really powerful, and I think it's quite the tearjerker. So I'm probably going to be an emotional mess reading this, but I'm excited to see if it lives up to all of the hype and to see what I think of this book. So yeah, excited to have this one. Okay, so a little bit of a change of pace. So next I've got a thriller to show you. So I've got The Ten of the Key by Ruth Ware. So I have been really interested in getting into the thriller genre. I recently read my first ever thriller book and I quite enjoyed it. So I'm excited to read more and to see what I think. So when I was sort of researching thriller books, this book kept coming up. It's made its way onto a lot of people's kind of top thrillers of all time. So I am very intrigued and I have very high hopes for this book. I believe we follow a nanny who gets accused of murdering one of the children that she's looking after. And that's all that I really know. Obviously I don't want to know too much because I don't want to have any spoilers, because I think it's going to be quite twisty and quite suspenseful. But I'll give you a quick read of the blurb. So on the back it says, when Rowan comes across the advert, it seems too good to be true. A live-in nanny position with an extremely generous salary. What she doesn't know is that she's stepping into a nightmare. One that will end with a child dead and her in a cell awaiting trial for murder. She knows she's made mistakes, but she's not guilty. At least not of murder. Which means someone else is. I'm intrigued. I think this is going to be really, really fast paced. I think it's going to be a page turner. I think it's going to keep me sitting on the edge of my seat, and that's exactly what I'm in the mood for. So I'm excited to give this one a go. So the next book that I have to show you is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. So this is written by Grady Hendrix, and the reason why I put this on my list actually is because I recently read My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix, and I really, really enjoyed that book. So I'm excited to read more of his work, and this one comes highly, highly rated. So I'm intrigued to see what I think. Also the cover again is absolutely beautiful on this one. So this follows the main character, who is called Patricia, I think. She's a stay-at-home mum and she's a member of this book club who meet up every now and then to discuss about books. And then one day this mysterious man, who may or may not be a vampire, shows up in their town and people start disappearing, and that is all I know. That's all I need to know. I think it's going to be really, really fun. I've heard people saying that this book is actually quite hard to categorize. I think it's listed as horror, but a lot of people say that it reads like a thriller, and it's also quite comedic. I think it's supposed to be quite funny as well. So that really intrigues me to see how all of those different kind of styles fit into one book. So I don't know, I'm just really intrigued to see what I think. I know a lot of people have rated this quite highly, so I'm hoping that it's going to be a really good one. And I mean, it's got vampires in it, so obviously I was going to pick it up because I do love a vampire book. So yes, I'm excited to have this one. The next book that I have to show you is actually a graphic novel. So I got The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. and I am so excited to finally have this book in my collection because I've had my eye on it for ages because I think it just looks so sweet and it's such a cute concept. So this is basically about a girl who stumbles across these tea dragons who grow tea leaves out of their heads, and I think she becomes a member of the Tea Dragon Society, who are a group of people who look after these little tea dragons, and I think they kind of practice the art of brewing tea using the tea leaves that the little dragons grow. So I don't know, it just sounds really, really cute. I'm a big tea drinker. I do like my cups of tea, so I don't know, I guess I was drawn in, and it's supposed to be really wholesome. It's supposed to be really diverse as well, which is always nice to see. And I don't know, there's something about the art style that just really drew me in, so I'm very excited to finally have this one and to kind of cozy up and read this probably all in one sitting and have an amazing time. And I'm just having a little flick through, and the artwork in here is just gorgeous. I'll see if I can show you. It's just really, really stunning. So I'm very excited to curl up and read this with a cup of tea one night and just have an amazing time. Okay, so the next book that I have to show you is actually a little bit different. So I went away on a holiday with my family for my birthday. We all went away to Northern Ireland for a week. And when we were there, we went to the Titanic exhibition, and it was so interesting, and I just really, really wanted to learn a little bit more about what happened. So when I went to the little gift shop at the end, of course I was drawn in by all the books that they had, and I don't know, this one just caught my eye. It was sitting on the shelf and it was calling to me. So this is A Night to Remember, and it's by Walter Lord. So I believe this is kind of a recounting of the day that the Titanic sank, and it's based on the testimony of survivors. So I'm really, really interested, and I had a little flick through, and it does actually have quite a few photographs and some images in here, which is quite cool. So I don't know if you can see that, but there are sort of pictures and things dotted throughout here. So it just looks really interesting to me. And it says on the back, Walter Lord's definitive account of the Titanic's voyage, wreck and aftermath is a classic of investigation based on the testimony of survivors. A Night to Remember became the source for countless films, novels and plays, and it has never been bettered. So it sounds really good. So yeah, I'm excited to see what I think of that one. And then finally, the last book that I have to show you is Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marillier. I have actually read this book, so this was the first one that I picked up after my birthday, and I really enjoyed it. So this is the first book in an adult fantasy series, and it's based on the Six Swan Brothers fairy tale. So basically we follow the main character Sora, who's a young girl. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I'm just going by the little pronunciation guide in the front here. I don't know if you can see that, but it looks like you pronounce her name as Sora, but I have heard people saying Sorka and Sorcha, so I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing her name wrong. But yes, we're following this young girl, and she has 6 older brothers who she's very close to, but towards the beginning of the book, her father, who is a lord, he actually remarries. He marries a sorceress. He puts a curse on Sora's 6 brothers. So the story is basically about her trying to break this curse and trying to free her brothers, and it is so beautiful in the way that it's written. It's so lyrical, it's so whimsical, it's very, very slow, but personally I just think it is so atmospheric and really, really absorbing. It does have a lot of dark themes in there though, so definitely be careful going in and check out the content warnings, because there is quite an explicit scene that is difficult to read, so just be warned before you go in. But I did actually film a little bit of a reading vlog, so if you're interested to hear more of my thoughts, then check out that video. I'll probably upload it next. And yes, that about brings me to the end of this video. I really, really hope that you enjoyed this haul. Please let me know if you've read any of these books, because I'd love to have a little chat with you in the comments, and let me know what you think I should pick up next, because I'm so indecisive, so any help would be appreciated. And yeah, I guess I shall see you next time with another video. Bye.